The sound of laughter filled the small coffee shop, but in the corner by the window, a girl sat alone, her smile glowing brighter than the morning sun too. Everyone who passed by, she looked happy. A young woman in her 20s, sipping her latte, typing something on her old laptop and smiling at strangers. Like life had never hurt her, but if you looked close enough. Her eyes told another story, a silent ache buried beneath layers of practiced joy. Her name was Emily Carter, and behind that gentle smile was a world of pain no one could see. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen struggles, then please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, because sometimes one story can change how we see others forever. Emily was the kind of person who gave warmth to others even when she had none. Left for herself, she worked as a cashier at a local grocery store in Chicago, always greeting customers with a soft hello and a radiant smile. Her coworkers adored her for her patience and calmness, but none of them knew what she went home to each night. An empty apartment, faded family photos, and silence thick enough to break her heart all over again. 2 years earlier, she had lost her mother to cancer, a loss that left her world in ruins. Her father, unable to bear the pain, had drowned himself in alcohol, vanishing from her life without a word. Emily had no siblings, no close relatives, and no one to lean on except herself yet. Every morning she painted that same brave smile across her face, as if to convince the world she was fine. Her pain didn't show in tears, but in the way she held her coffee a little too tight, in the way her voice trembled when someone asked if she was okay, and in how she always deflected personal questions with a laugh. The people around her called her the Sunshine Girl, but no. One noticed how much her own world had turned dark one rainy evening. As Emily was closing the store, she noticed a man standing by the checkout counter. He was tall, wearing a worn-out leather jacket. His eyes, tired but kind, he smiled faintly and said, "Hey, sorry I'm late. I just needed some groceries before heading home." His name was Ryan Bennett, a former soldier who had moved into the neighborhood recently. Emily scanned his items, and as she handed him the receipt, he noticed her smile, that beautiful but lonely smile that somehow felt too forced to be real. Ryan walked out of the store that night, but something about her stayed. In his mind, maybe it was the way her eyes lingered on the door after he left, or how she stood still for a moment, as if lost in her own thoughts. The next day, he came back, not for groceries this time, but for conversation. He asked her about her day, cracked a few silly jokes, and she laughed genuinely. This time, over the next few weeks, their paths crossed often. Ryan became a regular visitor, always choosing her checkout line, even if it was the longest. Slowly, Emily started to let her guard down. For the first time in a long while, she felt seen. Ryan had his own scars, invisible ones. He had lost friends in the war, lived through nightmares that haunted him, and struggled to adjust to normal life again. But unlike Emily, he didn't hide behind a smile. He hid behind silence. Together, they began to heal in quiet ways. Coffee breaks, long walks, and shared moments that needed no words. One afternoon, Ryan invited Emily to the park. It was a crisp autumn day, the air cool and the sky painted in soft shades of orange and gold. They sat on a wooden bench, watching kids play, leaves fall, and life move around them. For a moment, Emily looked peaceful, but then Ryan noticed something, a small bruise on her wrist, faint but visible when her sleeve slipped back. He didn't say anything. At first, maybe she'd bumped into something, he thought, but when he saw it again a few days later and saw how she quickly hid it, his concern grew. He tried to ask gently, "Are you okay, Emily?" She smiled, that same heartbreaking smile, and said, "Of course, why wouldn't I be?" Ryan didn't push, but something inside him refused to believe her. He started noticing small things, how she sometimes flinched when her phone buzzed, how her hands trembled when she counted money, how her smile dimmed when the clock hit closing time. Then, one night, as he waited across the street to walk her home, he saw a dark figure approach her outside the store. A man, rough around the edges, yelling something angrily. Ryan couldn't hear the words, but he saw fear flash across Emily's face. He rushed across, but by the time he got there, the man had stormed off, and Emily stood frozen, tears welling up in her eyes. She tried to smile again, whispering, "It's fine, Ryan, just someone I used to know." But he knew it wasn't fine. The next evening, Ryan waited for her again, this time determined to make sure she got home safe. When she saw him waiting, she froze, then looked away. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly. "It's not Safe, that's when the truth began to unravel. The man Ryan had seen was Emily's ex-boyfriend, someone she had once trusted but who turned violent after she broke things off. He had found out where she worked and had been threatening her for weeks. Emily had stayed silent, terrified that involving anyone else would only make things worse, so she smiled through it all, through the pain, through the fear, because she didn't know what else to do. Ryan felt his heart break hearing her story. He wanted to protect her, but he also knew she needed to find her own strength that night. He made her a promise: "You don't have to face this alone anymore." The next morning, Ryan accompanied her to file a police report. It wasn't easy. She trembled through every word, but for the first time in months, she wasn't doing it alone. Over the next few weeks, the restraining order was put in place and the man was warned to stay away. It didn't erase the pain, but it gave Emily back something she had lost: peace. But healing wasn't instant. Some nights, she still woke up shaking. Some mornings, her smile faltered, yet every time she felt herself breaking, Ryan reminded her that strength wasn't about never falling. It was about standing up again, no matter how many times life pushed her down. Winter came, bringing snow and a quiet calm to the city. One evening, Emily invited Ryan to her apartment for dinner. Something simple: pasta and laughter. They talked for hours, sharing stories of loss, hope, and everything in between. For the first time, her smile felt different, not the mask she wore to survive, but a reflection of real joy. Slowly returning in the months that followed, Emily started painting again, a passion she had given up after her mother's death. Her paintings were full of light and emotion, broken yet beautiful. Ryan encouraged her to hold a small exhibition at a local art cafe. She was hesitant at first, afraid no one would come, but to her surprise, the cafe was packed. Her coworkers, neighbors, and even strangers from the community showed up, all drawn by the quiet strength she carried in her work. When she stood in front of her favorite painting, a woman standing in the rain, smiling despite the storm, Ryan stood beside her, his hand gently holding hers. She looked up at him, tears glimmering in her eyes, and whispered, "That's me, isn't it?" He smiled softly. "Yeah, that's you. You smiled through your pain. And that's how I found you." The audience clapped as she was announced the artist of the evening. And for the first time, Emily didn't hide. She spoke about her journey, not in detail, but enough to remind everyone that behind every smile, there might be a story of survival. Her voice shook, but it was strong, raw, and real. When she finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. As she stepped down from the small stage, Ryan wrapped his arm around her shoulders, whispering, "You did it." She smiled, a true smile this time, and said, "No, we did it." If this story touched your heart, if you believe that sometimes the kindest souls hide the deepest pain, then please like, comment, and share this video. Your support helps us keep sharing stories that remind the world that empathy still matters. And before you go, leave a comment below telling us what kindness means to you, or tag someone who's been your reason to smile through hard times.